Assalamualaikum. Inshallah, Mand. Dar Amin Bashid. I hope everyone is staying healthy and safe. Today is my program, Universal Finance Academy by Asma Popal. And again, there's my contact information, my email, as well as my Facebook if you would like to follow or if you'd like to email me if you have any questions and would like any help with finance in general. I will always be there to help you. And you can always send me an email in English or Farsi. No worries, I will always be able to translate and figure it out. So today we have a special guest, Layla Hassan. Salam Layla, how are you today?
Salam. I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. So kind of go ahead and tell me a little bit about, you know, everything that's, you know, going on and kind of questions that you had and everything.
Yeah, so it's my senior year. You know, everything with the coronavirus and everything, it's been a little bit confusing about, you know, taking the SAT or which colleges won't require it and all that stuff. So I'm just trying to learn how to, you know, write my essay and things like that. So we could start off with like how beneficial it is for you to take the SAT or ACT compared to if you don't, and if it will negatively affect you if you don't do it, for schools that don't.
Exactly, perfect. Yeah, I know that you wanted to do like a little special like poem at the beginning, just because we know that you're, you know, a rising star and you want to become an artist in the future. So here is the poem by Rumi, and I'll let you take over.
Okay. Our death is our wedding with eternity. What is the secret? God is one. The sunlight splits when entering the windows of the house. This multiplicity exists in the cluster of grapes. It is not in the juice made from the grapes, for he who is living in the light of God. The death of the carnal soul is a blessing. Regarding him, say neither bad nor good, for he is gone beyond the good and the bad. Fix your eyes on God and do not talk about what is invisible, so that he may place another look in your eyes. It is in the vision of the physical eyes that no invisible or secret thing exists. But when the eye is turned toward the light of God, what thing could remain hidden under such a light? Although all lights emanate from a divine light, don't call all these lights the light of God. It is the internal light, which is the light of God. The ephemeral light is an attribute of the body and the flesh. O God, who gives the grace of vision, the bird of vision is flying towards you with the wings of desire.
Yeah, mashallah, so beautiful. Thank you for that.
And I want to introduce my mom because she's going to be the translator.
Oh yes, yeah. Mary John, thank you so much for translating for us. Yeah, please introduce her.
اسما جان تشکر بسیار از سلام به همگی. نام موریس، من مادر لیلا جان هستم. بسیار خوش هستیم که اینجا آمدیم و شما ما را انوایت کردین. من کوشش میکنم، فارسی من خوب نیست اما کوشش میکنم to the best of my ability که من ترنسلیت کنم که شما تا چی میگین.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so as Layla was saying, her main question at the beginning was, you know, right now she's a senior in high school and she's trying to figure out what she needs to do to start her university.
بله، دخترم صنف 12 است و از خاطر کووید 19 یا نتونستن که SAT و ACT خود بگیرن، سو سینیرها کلشان چایس دارن either SAT or ACT. سو از این خاطر سوال میکنیم برای اسما جان که این کدام تاثیر داره برای کالجایی که اپلای میکنن. Probably she's not going to apply تا نوامبر، اما بازم سوال میکنیم که مجبور است که SAT یا ACT خود داشته باشه یا نه.
Yeah, exactly. So I went ahead and kind of looked into the various like checklists that a college student would need before, you know, even thinking about applying for a school, just thinking about their finances in general.
خب اسما جان که rules و regulations چی است درباره زمین که اگر میخوای که در یونیورسیتی بری بعد از 1-2 خلاص کنی که چی کنی؟
Yeah, so as you can see on the left side, we have a pretty long checklist. So in regards to, just even thinking about what you want to do in college, you need to start shopping for colleges is kind of the term. Basically, you're looking for the college or university that best fits your needs. If they have the majors that you want to study in, if they have extra programs that you would like to be in, and how far are they, how close are they, the tuition, and just in general, is that a school that you would be proud to be a part of?
So آسما جان میگه که اما تو شاپینگ میرین برای کالا و دیگر شاپینگ میرین برای کالج باید خودت فکر کنی که میخوای نزدیک خانه یا از دور از خانه کدام سپیشالتی کدام کالج بهتر است برای خودت و all of this has to do with your GPA, correct آسما جان؟ که GPA چی است چی نیست؟
Yeah, so I'm actually going to go into the checklist specifically for the application in a couple of slides, and we'll talk about how GPA is something that's very important, especially if you're trying to get into very specific programs within a university. So we will touch on that. So some other things to look into when looking into college is obviously setting up a bank account of your own. Now that you're 18, you're an adult, you need to understand what a checking account is, what a savings account is, having an emergency fund, having, starting a small credit card to help start your credit is all very important.
So, اولین چیز که آدم باید کنه اما معطل باید شوی که 18 ساله شوی و 18 ساله شوی بعد از این باز میتونی که بانک اکانت باز کنی از خاطر که بانک اکانت مهم است که سیوینگ دیگه سیوینگ خود آدم باید شروع کنه.
Yeah, so some other steps are, thinking about how you're going to be getting to university, or if you start a job, like a part-time job at the same time, what is your type of transportation? Will you be taking the bus or tracks? Will you take a car? Will you get a bike? And then if you do get a car or bike, you'll have to get some kind of insurance, as well as, different amenities. For like a bike, you need a lock. You need to make sure you can replace the tires. For a car, again, you need an emergency tire. You would, want to figure out what kind of amenities you would want, whether you want the camera in the front so you can see what you're doing in the back, if you want like a big surround sound system, if you want something where you can, like a dash cam. So those are important things to think about. What kind of transportation will you need once you start going to university?
But transportation is که چی رقم در کالج میری، پیاده میری، بایسکل استفاده میکنی یا موتر میخری. اگه موتر میخری باید درباره اینشورنس و رجیستریشن و فکر کنی چی رقم موتر است. اگر بایسکل می داشته باشی باید هلمت داشته باشی، باید قلف داشته باشی کسی که دزدیش نکنه و یا چی رقم خودت در یونیورسیتی میرسونی.
Yeah, and then other things to think about is like what kind of meal plan will you get? Do you want to buy your own groceries? Do you want to have a card instead at the university where you can just buy meals quickly? And thinking about the pricing, if you can afford it or not. If you get a scholarship that pays for your housing or meals is important. And then you need to think about, getting insurance for yourself, because all college students need to have their own medical insurance. And then also thinking about, what kind of discounts can you get at the university for technology, for books, for medical, for amenities like the gym. If you get like a free gym pass, or if you get a free tax or a transportation pass, you might want to not buy the car. Maybe you just want to first spend your freshman year just taking the bus or taking the tracks. So it'll be cheaper for you, and you get to know the layout of the city better.
و کلش در پیسه مربوط است که چقدر پیسه داری. اگر پیسه داشته باشی میتونی موتر بگیری، موتر که داشته باشی باید رجیستریشن بگیری در خود یونیورسیتی که پارک کنی و دیگه. و اگر پیسه کم است مجبور استی که ما نمیتونی که در کالج مثلا نان بخری و دیگه باید نان از خانه بیاری. So it's all about که چقدر سیو میکنی و چقدر داری و چی پلانت است.
And obviously, lastly, we need to think about, your overall schedule throughout the year, and buying supplies. Books are very expensive. So trying to buy cheaper versions, like going on Chegg, buying things on like eBay or Amazon, maybe renting the book instead of buying the book. Getting an online copy is always great. Most of the time, a lot of your books, your first 2 or 3 years, you don't usually use after on. So I would suggest trying to find a cheaper version. Even the year before is usually discounted almost like, you know, between 20 to 50% sometimes. Also thinking about, you know, holidays, what you'll do in your holidays, how you'll spend money that way. Also, everyone wants to look good, of course, you know, when they're starting school, you know, thinking about how are you going to buy, you know, clothes and other things. So, yeah, just stuff, other miscellaneous expenses, basically, to think about.
در کالج رفتن بسیار برایگان تا شاید قیمت گفته اگر پیسه نداشته باشه باید پلان کنی، از خاطر خصوصا کتاب خریدن بسیار قیمت است و بسیاری کسایی که شاگردای نو است راستن میرن کتابای نو میخرن. کتابای نو باید نخرین، باید کتابای از 1 سال پیش بخرین. از شاگردایی که وقت همون صنفا رو گرفته یا آنلاین میتونین برین که پیدا کنید کدامش است، یا میتونین از آنلاین حتی دانلود کنی که مجبور نیستی که خود کتاب داشته باشی، میتونی دانلود کنی ارزان‌تر شود. So بسیاری there's a lot of creative ways که آدم کتاب بگیره. so مهم است امرای شاگردا، امرای معلما، امرای کسایی که یک سنف بلندتر است از او پرسان کنین که چی رقم آدم باید کتاب بخره که ارزان‌تر تمام شود. اگر پیسه‌ش هم داشته باشی چی فایده که پیسه در کتابای نو خرج کنی. و دیگه چویس داری که میتونی که رجیستر کنی که ووت کنی، مجبور نیستی، it's a choice. و دیگه چیزای گپ کالا پوشیدن، کالا خریدن است که پیش از پیش پیسه تان خرج نکنین، کالا خوب داشته باشین که از خاطر کالج شروع میشه، از خاطر دیگه خرچام میآید که مجبور هستی که مهمتر است مثلا کتاب خریدن، سپلایز. و اصلا در کالج که پیش که میری خودت میتونی که اپلای کنی برای لونز و گرانتس که میتونه که برای پیسه اضافگی بده برای از این خرچا، مثلا کالا خریدن یا کتاب دیگه، اما باید اپلای کنی برای زوار.
Yeah, and then if we kind of look on to the right side this time, there's a couple of tips you can kind of use to you know, save money basically, or get ready for college. You know, try, if you have any debt for whatever reason when you're in high school, pay it off. Figure out what kind of groceries will, you know, keep you healthy, and you know, you don't need to buy a bunch of groceries at one time. Figure out your meal schedule when you'll, you know, be cooking and how much you should be able to afford every month. And don't have a bunch of subscriptions. You know, everyone wants to have, you know, Hulu, Netflix, you know, the gaming stuff, all of that just costs a lot of money, and it's important to kind of think of, you know, what is worth it, what's not worth it. Another thing is sometimes books are available at the university. Instead of buying them, you can just get a book loan from the library and then return it at the end of the semester. And just make sure, you know, try to pay things on time. Don't buy, you know, giant brand names. So those are some of the things. I'll talk about the other half in a moment.
و مهم است که آدم پیسه خود ناقی خرج نکنه. امیاله که مثلا اگر صرف 12 هستی، قرضدار هستی، باید قرضای تا کوشش کنی که بتی، میتونی پارت تایم جاب بگیری. ناقی در هر چیز پیسه تان خرج نکنین. کوشش کنین که خصوصا در خریدن نان هر روز در رستوران باید نرین. کوشش کن گروشری برین. ایرینگ هلتی مهم است، ساعتت مهم است که هر روز که مثلا جنک فود و سودا و دیگه بخورد صحیح کانسنتریت نمیکنین در صنفتان، سو مجبور هستین که درباره هلتی ایرینگ you know پیدا کنین انفورمیشن. کوشش کن که بسیاری چیزایی تانا در کش بتینی، واسه کریدیت کارت، خاطر کریدیت کارت بتید آخر ما متوجه نمیشی چقدر خرج کردی. باز میگی oh my god that I really spent، من راستی $200 خرج کردم یک در نان خوردن رستوران. سو اگر کش بتی خود متوجه میشی. دیگر کوشش کن که ارگانیک بخری، عوض از اینکه چیزایی که جی ام او داشته باشه، genetically modified که اون براتون خوب نیست. و کوشش کن که اکسرسایز کنی، کوشش کنی از خانه، اگر در خانه زندگی میکنی یا در آپارتمان زندگی میکنی، نانتان تیار کنین، بازی ببرین در کالج. و دیگر بلاست مثلا سلفون تا باید بتی، الکتریسیتی تا بتی. سرال هستی که در کجا هستی، در خانه مادر پدر زندگی میکنی یا در آپارتمان خود زندگی میکنی. So you just kind of have to figure out که situation چی است.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so Layla, what are some things that you've just learned that you could be helpful, or some tips that you would like to share in your journey of starting a university or college?
I've learned that I needed to do a lot more things than I thought of. Like, I never thought of like registering for a car or bike or like transportation. It's a lot of things that I would depend on my parents usually, but if I'm going to be living in a dorm, which I haven't decided yet, but if I'm going to, then that's a lot of things I have to start thinking about. And it's a big step in my life, so.
و دختر میگه که درباره صحیح فکر نکرده که در دور میخوای زندگی کنه یا در خانه باشه و نمیفهمید که میتونی که پیاده بری در فاکولته یا سرویس بگیری یا بایک بگیری. بسیاری چیزا در فکرش هست که نمیفهمه چی کنه.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I'm so happy that we got a chance to talk, and that now we can kind of go through the process, not only for you, but for a lot of, you know, first or second generation students that are here and are in other countries to help them out. So we will go ahead and kind of talk about some of the tools that our students can kind of use. So some of the things that I personally like to use are like money saving, like trackers on their phone. So if you search anything, you know, like money tracker or savings tracker, you can easily download an app and put in your account information and put in your expenses and also your goals for, you know, short-term and long-term goals. And that way the app can help you kind of track everything that is that you're spending, and also what you'll be able to save in the future. So that's one of the things.
مانی ترکر بسیار مهم است که شما اگر فامیلیر نباشین که دانلود کنین در تلویزونتان که میگی کامپیوتر که چند پیسه داری و نشانت میده که داخل ما چقدر خرج کردی چقدر خرج نکردی so you can keep track of it که پیسه کجا میره کجا نمیره. So
yeah, exactly.
Asma Jan, money tracker?
Yeah, like money tracker or savings tracker is if you go to your app store or your Play Store, those are like you'll usually find a bunch of free ones. I'd pick the one that has at least a 4.2 or more star rating, because those are the ones that are like legitimate and are actually useful.
So money tracker, what's the other one? Save tracker?
Yeah, or like savings tracker. These aren't like the specific app names. These are things you can easily just search to find apps.
این اپلیکیشن هایی است که میتونید در آنلاین پیدا کنی، اما مهم است که با 4 ستاره داشته باشه. 4 ستاره داشته باشه then it's more reliable. بازی رو میتونید دانلود کنی که کمک کنه که ترک کنه پیسه که در چی خرج کردی در چی خرج نکنی.
Yeah, so why don't we go ahead and go to the next topic here. So, Layla, I know at the beginning you were talking about, you know, your SAT scores and other things. Go ahead and kind of tell me what exactly you had a question in regards to like admissions and stuff.
So, I know a lot of the colleges I will be applying to, they are not requiring for you to take the SAT or ACT. But they also said that it won't really affect you that much if you don't take it, but do you think it's better to not take it compared to take it and, you know, you might not get that good of a score?
So دختر پرسان میکنه که از خاطر کووید مجبور نیست که SAT یا ACT خود بگیره و اسما جان پرسان میکنیم که بهتر است که آدم امتحانش بگیره anyways بدون از اینکه require نمیکنه کالج ها require نمیکنه که SAT یا ACT خود بگیره.
Yeah, so that's especially with what's going on right now with COVID and the uncertainty of where things will be, you know, in the next couple months, in the next year, both in the education system and in regards to, you know, the jobs and the economy. So I think that's really great that you're already thinking about it. You know, the semester has just started, but it's important to think about these things ahead of time. So we'll go ahead and kind of go through the checklist that I'm about to share here. So there's
اسما جان بیشتر که گفتی که درباره ACT بگیره یا نه. اسما جان گفت کووید شاید یک چند ماه دیگه دوام بده یا یک چند سال دیگه دوام بده، اما خوب است که دربارهش فکر میکنه که امتحان بگیره یا نه. میبخشید.
No, yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, and I think, as we can look through the list real quick, I'll just read it. Overall grades, try to get, usually a B+ or higher. A GPA of at least a 3.5 is what's really important. Again, like I was talking before with the AP and IB programs, getting college curriculum ahead of time and trying to save money is important.
So مهم است که یعنی سال سینیارتان اگر گریدایتان خوب نباشه که از این به بعد A و B بگیرین و هیچ وقت C یا D نگیرین و A و B بگیری باز grade point average تقریبا 3.5 می باشه. بسیاری از یونیورسیتی ها اکسپکتیشنش همیست که 3.5 یا زیادتر داشته باشین.
Yeah, and it always, it depends on like what you want to major in. So, if you want to go into something specific and you don't have the GPA that is required of you, there's still other ways to show the university that you are someone that wants to get into the program. I know a lot of people who have gotten, like a 3 GPA, a 3.2, a 2.8, but because they were able to show through other things holistically, that they're a rounded person, they were able to get into the university or program they wanted to.
اگه شاگردای هستین که A, B نمیگیرین و A, B, C یا average-تان C خیلی فرق نمیکنه، باز هم میتونین که در یونیورسیتی اپلای کنین و در دیگر رقم میتونین که strength و curriculum نشان بدین، مثلا extracurricular activity اگه involved باشین. کدام مثال است for gaining more points? What were some of the examples, Asma, that they can show if their GPA is low?
Yeah, so if you kind of look at the side on the left side, we see, strength of curriculum. If you're taking harder classes, but you're getting lower grades, the fact that you're taking them in high school shows that you are there to, step up. And when you're in college, you'll have the background necessary to get a B or an A in a college level or university level class.
What was university را نشان میدیم که کوشش کردیم صنفای سخت بگیریم.
Yeah, and some other things, you're going to have recommendations, usually a counselor or either like a counselor and a teacher or 2 teachers. So having a good relationship with your professor or with your teachers in high school and with your counselor is really important. And, going there after school, getting help with homework, working on side projects are really great ways to show that you are there to learn and to be a hard worker and that you're determined to get into the program that you want to do.
و مهم است که ریلیشنشیپ همراه معلمایتان و کانسلرایتان بسیار خوب باشه که میتونین بعد از سنت برین بگین که در اینی مضمون اینی پرابلم دارم که همراهتون کمک کنه و داخل دتا letter, you need 2 letters, right? 2 letters of recommendation from teachers?
Yeah, so usually it has to be 2 letters. So if you even can find a 3rd teacher, just in case something happens, if another teacher decides to quit, that would be a really great idea as well.
تو بسیار مهم است که ریلیشنشیپتان همراه معلمایتان خوب باشه، از خاطر که در آخر سال 2 خط ازشان میگیری که و رکمند میکنه خودت که یعنی شاگرد بسیار خوب است، در این توجه کرده یک ذره تعریفتان میکنه که بازو خط همراه اپلیکیشن در یونیورسیتی ها روان میکنی که باز و دیساید کنن که قبولت میکنن یا نه.
And also, because school is online, we don't know when we'll get back to school, but because we're having, all new teachers and stuff, and it's kind of harder to have a relationship with them, what would you suggest to build that relationship in order to get a recommendation letter?
Yeah, that's perfect. I totally forgot about the fact that, most schools are going to be online now. A lot of my college classes are online other than my lab class. And that's going to make it tough to, get close to your teachers or even your counselor. So I would suggest, when they say they have office hours, make sure to schedule office hours with them. Ask them, about themselves, get to know them on a more personal basis, get to do also Zoom meetings with your counselor as well. Don't just talk about classes or just talk about homework. Let them see that you have future goals and plans and that you want them to be a mentor for you.
و از خاطر کووید هیچ کس صرف نمیرن کلگی گپ میفهمه و اسما جان میگه که میتونی پرسان کنی کدام from what hours to hours office hours تان است برشان ایمیل کو و ایمیل کو یک درباره صرف گپ نزن که چی پرابلم داری چی پرابلم نداری درباره خودم گپ ده که مثلا فامیلت از من از افغانستان هستم مثلا مادر پدرم کمک بر نمیتونه یا مثلا سچویشن دخترم که 2 سال پیش اردو مادر پدر خدا بخشیشان اردوشان فوت کرده سو برش کمک سختتر بود 2 سال پیش که مثال خدا در گریدایی که میخواست بگیره سو پرسنالی میتونی که درباره خود گپ بزنی که زیادتر بشناسید که با چانس زیادتر است که خوب خط از این معلومات بگیریم.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. And then some other things we can look at on that list, you know, you have your application essay, which is another great way to show universities and colleges who you are and what you want to become in the future. Not only including, you know, your GPA or your extracurricular activities like clubs, include, you know, volunteering experience, include hardships that you have faced, include your background, that it's multicultural, that you have, you know, an open mind and an open perspective, and that you are someone who can contribute to the university just beyond, you know, giving them money or being a student.
و مهم است که باید معلوماتتان بگوییم که انگلیسی لنگویج دومتان است و دیگه درباره بک‌گراند دیگه خود دادن گپه.
Yeah, perfect. And then we'll just continue on with the list. Again, like I was saying, it's good to, you know, be in clubs. It doesn't have to be a sport specifically. You could be in a language, in an art club, in a volunteering club, anything to kind of show that you are proactive and that you are able to be organized, not only with your school, but with your activities. You're great at time management and you're responsible. And then also it shows, you know, make sure to demonstrate your interests. You know, if you have side hobbies where you're like, you love music or you love dance or you love drawing or, you know, you write short stories on the side, those are also very important things to kind of show people that you're interested in.
What extracurricular activities که مثلا تو میگی که در رسمی خوب هستی، در سپورت خوب هستی یا میری غریبا رو کمک میکنی، مثلا دخترم در سالویشن آرمی هر ما یک دفعه از طرف کارم میره و کمک میکنه وارد نان بکش یا clothing or the so it could be anything. I'm a boy Adam in one way or another boy for the creative باشی که بویی که چی رقم the extracurricular activity involved هستی و if you want specifics اسما جان اگه ایمیل کنین اسما جان خودشان میگیتان که چی رقم in your situation چی کنی چی نکنی.
Yeah, so that's perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and have us take a short break. If Sohail, if we can go ahead and put something on, or I can also do my poetry, but I'll have Lila come back in just a second and I'll kind of talk about some stuff. Okay, yeah, I think that was, you know, been very helpful right now. And I just want us to take kind of a short break to process everything and to kind of think about like what we learned. I'm gonna go ahead and just read a second poem by Rumi that I think is, you know, very thoughtful and appropriate to kind of just our journey in life and what we're trying to do. So by Rumi, we have the poem, I am wind, you are fire. Oh, if a tree could wander and move with foot and wings, it would not suffer the axe blows and not the pain of saws. For would the sun not wander away in every night? Oh, could at every morning the world be lighted up. And if the ocean's water will not rise to the sky, how could the plants be quickened by streams and gentle rain? The drop that is left its homeland, the sea, and then returned. It found an oyster waiting and grew into a pearl. Did Yusuf not leave his father in grief and tears and despair? Did he not by such a journey gain kingdom and fortune wide? Did not the prophet travel to far Medina, friend? And there he found a new kingdom and ruled 100 lands. You lack a foot to travel? Then journey into yourself, and like a mine of rubies, receive the sunbeams, print, out of yourself. Such a journey will lead you to yourself. It leads to transformation of dust into pure gold. I really love this poem by Rumi because it shows that no matter your journey in this life and no matter what is happening around you, that you are able to overcome it. You know, we see, you know, when we read about what happened in the past and how people had to get through, you know, not having electricity, not having any power or, you know, cars or internet, you know, they were still able to live their life even with their struggles, and they were able to find happiness through the connections with other people, through, you know, building things, creating things, becoming educated, and teaching other people. And nowadays, you know, there's a lot of things happening. We're seeing, you know, with like the weather and with education, you know, needing more support. I think it's important that we all recognize the journey that is within ourselves and see the light that is everywhere around us, and just focus on, you know, how we can be positive and how we can help other people and how we can help ourselves to grow and to become a better person, you know, no matter where we are, no matter what situation. Even if you plant one little tree, you know, in 100 years, it'll give people fruit. Even if you just teach one person to write or read, you know, in the future, they could start a school and teach hundreds. So every small thing we do, as every small action is something important, and something that is very valuable. And so I'll go ahead and keep going from there. So now we're kind of gonna look at the process of applying to university. So I was talking to Layla about some universities that she was kind of shopping or looking into. So I'll talk about the university, the process first, in regards to the application. You know, the application process seems very long and tedious, but in reality, it's actually very simple as long as you take it step by step, and that's what is important. So as long as we focus on one thing at a time and think of how we can, you know, manage our time and make sure we send and submit everything on the specific day, you'll be fine. You'll be perfectly fine. So I'm going to go ahead and reshare that list here. So on the right side, so you actually, a lot of universities require you to pay a fee for the application. Sometimes, depending on your economic status, you can get a fee waiver. That way, you don't need to pay for the application. That way, the way to get that fee waiver is through the counseling department. So it's really important to get to know your counselor, and they can help you find ways that you don't have to spend extra money for no reason. Then we also have to think about your test scores, like Layla was saying, you know, SAT, ACT, etc. Actually, I applied for the Masters of Finance here at the University of Utah, and because of COVID, we don't have to take, you know, the GMAT or the GRE, which are the business graduate exams. But in the future, you know, once there's a vaccine or when things change, you won't have that leniency. You'll have to, you know, get prepared for those exams. I would get prepared for them even if universities right now don't say to that, you know, that the scores are. And then in regards to short answers, you know, you'll have some universities will have a giant personal essay that you'll have to write, but other universities for their applications you'll only have very short responses. So some examples would be, you know, what kind of volunteering have you done? How have you given back to your community? Why do you want to go? Why do you want to be part of our institution? What are your dreams and goals for the future? So acknowledging that these are all things you need to know now and preparing for them, you'll be fine with any type of essay question that happens to come up. Continuing on from that list, let's talk about FAFSA. FAFSA is something that we have here in the United States. It's basically a grant given by universities through the federal government, and it's something you don't have to pay back. So if you're able to apply so that you don't need to pay, you know, extra money for school, like make sure to apply for the FAFSA. In regards to the school years that I've been in, we always apply around the beginning or mid of October. And then there are several different types of like grants or loans. So if you ever get a grant, you'll never have to pay that back. So don't worry, whatever grant you get, like that's great. That's money that they've given you. But if they also have options for loans, for unsubsidized or subsidized loans, be careful which one you choose. Because depending on the school, they could have a really high tuition, resulting in a high interest rate over time. So subsidized, as you can see, are better. That's basically saying that you won't have to pay any interest at all, no matter the life of the loan. Obviously, they give you they give you a contract where you need to pay it off at a certain time, but subsidized is the way to go if you have that type of loan. And then we have unsubsidized, which basically means that you're gonna start accruing interest the moment that you get that loan. So if you get a $5,000 loan that's subsidized, you're gonna pay $5,000. If let's say they give you 5 years, at the end of 5 years. If you get an unsubsidized loan and it's 5,000, depending on the interest rate, you could pay almost 1,000 to, let's say, 3,000 extra. There's no point in paying extra when you are working hard to get an education and trying to get into a good job in the future. Try your best to get grants, and if you have to, if you don't get any scholarships or you still need money after getting scholarships, get a subsidized loan, not an unsubsidized loan. There's also options for work study on the FAFSA application. So work study basically means you will work part-time at the university or the college. So for example, if you know another language, you could work at the tutoring center. If you're really great at like STEM classes, like math or science, you could work in that certain type of tutoring place. You could work at the front desk, you could work at the gym, you can work at the housing like I do. But all of these are works. The difference between getting a job on campus versus getting work study is very different. Work study means that the money that they're paying you, you need to put it towards your education. While when you have just a job on campus, you can do anything you want with that money. So if you already have everything covered with your FAFSA, with grants, with scholarships, and maybe a loan, don't do work study. I would say that money is not going towards you, and if you really need that money, I would just say get a regular job. On the other hand, if you want work experience but you are unsure about how much money you'll be getting, I would suggest apply for work study. That'll help you both to build your resume and also to have money towards your tuition. If we move on from there, so there's always like a common application at the university website where it's just like a general application where you talk about yourself. And it also has to do with housing as well. There's like a common application for housing if you want to apply for housing. And then from there, if you want to like live in a specific area, then you'd have to do a specific application for that area as well, depending on if it's a specialized program or not. So then we have to continue on for them. Again, like recommendation letters are important. Understanding financial aid is important. I would suggest when you start your application process for FAFSA and you get approved, go to the financial aid office at the college or university you were accepted in person or over Zoom if possible to go over everything that is going to be processing, the deadlines for applications for paperwork, what you will owe at the end. I did that every year, and because sometimes they forget to process your paperwork, and sometimes you'll be late and you could actually get your classes dropped. Or sometimes a scholarship is just taking too long. You need to notify your financial aid office. It's very important, because if you don't notify them that you're getting a scholarship or a grant or a loan, then they might just put a hold on your account, and then you'll have issues in the future as well. And then also, go onto the tuition site and see what are the costs. Why am I paying for this institution? What are they giving me in return? For example, with mine, they'll have the total tuition score, then they'll have the tuition itself, the cost of books that they expect, the cost of transportation that they expect you to have. If there's any amenities at the university, like, for example, the library, a computer lab, a giant gym, those are all costs that they'll be charging you. They'll also have costs on other things such as, you know, miscellaneous items. Again, they're thinking that you'll spend a certain amount on your clothes, on your food, on your utilities, and they're also kind of incorporate that into tuition for you, so you can figure out if that's going to be the actual cost. But that's not like set in stone. That's just them making kind of what they think will be your cost for the year. What you would need to do, like when you're looking at your financial aid, compare it to the tuition part of your school's web browser. So I would have the financial aid list, and then I would have the tuition list itself that I'll be charged for the year. Your tuition is going to be a lot less than what you expect it to be, depending on the type of degree you're getting and the type of classes. So if you see like 11,000 for tuition, but you're only getting, you know, 4,000, like don't worry, that's fine. That means you're saving money because your tuition actually costs less than what they expected it to be. And then in regards to kind of you know, making sure again that everything is correct, that's important because that's why you need to go to your financial aid office and talk to a counselor for sure about it. So if we kind of keep going from there, again, scholarships are so important. You know, applying for scholarships, again, as early as your second semester in your junior year to all of the semester in your senior year, that's really important. You want to make sure that you can apply for everything and anything. I would make sure, you know, apply for as many full ride scholarships or partial scholarships, and then also apply for, you know, $2,000, $5,000, $100 scholarships, because they're going to pay for something, even if it's not a large amount. It's still very important. And then it takes time. You know, you're going to have to apply for a lot of scholarship applications. That's why it's important to start early, and then you'll have a better chance as well. So we'll kind of go ahead and move on from there. So as you can see, I have like three URLs here, 3 websites. I'll show you 1 or 2 of them. So this is for, I'm not endorsing any of these colleges. I'm just, these are things that Layla John was looking into, and so I just went ahead and looked into the websites to see if these, you know, universities would be beneficial for her. So the first one here we have is California State University, Fullerton. And you can see while we scroll down, the majority of things, they have news, they have videos, they have dates for things, which is great. Here we see now that they have a library, they have a center for art and technology, they're into athletics, they're into diversity and inclusion, so all great things, right? But now we have to think about who we are. So we're an incoming freshman, right? So we're going to be a future student, so that's where we would want to look into. Here we have freshmen, so someone who has just graduated high school and is ready to now apply to a university or college. Transfer students are students who usually go to a community college or a different university, and then they decide to now come to this university instead. A graduate student is, you know, for a master's, a PhD program, so this would be where you would go if you wanted to go to look at the programs they have available there. We have international students, which their guidelines are very different in regards to paperwork. Tuition is a lot more, and also the opportunities are different as well, depending on the programs they're available to them. Extended education is for people who are kind of coming back after a long time of not being in school. So all important to realize. We'll start with just the freshmen because that's kind of what we're focusing on today. So you can see already that they have their admissions requirements, their deadlines, the checklist, you know, scholarships, financial aid, recruitment and student programs. And if you would like, you can contact them if there's any information. So let's go ahead and start with the admissions requirements here. So we can kind of see that, you know, there's a guideline that they have, there's the application that they have right here. You'll always need to send your transcripts in. It'll have to be an official transcript, so you'll have to pay. Here are the scores if you had to during your semester when you're applying they would tell you what scores that you would need. And then if you ever have any additional things you need to do, the admissions office will be the one that emails you. So I like the fact that everything is kind of written out for you. It's very clear. If we click on the application itself, some universities let you see the application, some don't. So it just depends. So here we'd do like first-time freshman, and then it kind of tells you, everything that you would need. So for example, if, Layla or someone else wanted to go to this school, they would need to have a C- or higher for their classes. They would need to know, basic English and math. They would have to, make sure to send their transcripts here. And then, depending on if you're local, you'll have an easier, chance of getting into the school. If you have AP test scores, you can send those in. So that's kind of helpful right there. So if we go back now, a couple of spots. And that's fine, you're gonna go back and forth. Actually, I see it right here. See application dates and deadlines. This is really important. So if we scroll down here, now we can kind of see when everything is due. And that is great. You always want to try and do priority deadlines. Priority deadline means that you will be first looked at and chosen once the application process begins. After you've submitted your application and the school committee decides to review everything, you would be one of the first students to be reviewed and accepted into the program. So that's always try and get that deadline ahead of time. And now we'll go ahead and kind of look at a different website so you can kind of see the differences. But I'm going to go ahead and take a break right now, and so Hal John Saftari will go ahead and play something for us.